Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Amy Gretchen. Thank you so much for joining me today. In this video, I am working on a Project Life spread from 2020. You'll be so happy to hear that. And this is actually just last week. So this is October 19th to the 25th. So by the time this goes live, because I am going to be out of town this weekend, it'll probably be 2 weeks from when this video goes live. But I'm super excited to actually get some current stories told. And the reason why I wanted to jump on this week is because I took very little photos. In fact, I took probably like 3. And I'm talking about combining with my Canon camera and also my phone camera. I took 3 photos. So kind of crazy. And on Saturday, when I realized that, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do for Project Life? Should I just tack this week onto another week? And that's when I decided, you know what? I think it would be so interesting to do a week of just what it looked like on my phone. So kind of my digital imprint. I have, or online imprint, however you want to think about it. I have really been thinking about the ways I've been using my phone for quite a while, but especially now that I've moved, where my phone has really become my lifeline here, because it's my way to connect with my children. It's my way to connect with my friends and family, and life would feel really lonely without it. And it does sort of feel like a social dilemma. I did watch that film on Netflix, which also had me really thinking about how much I want my phone to have an impact on my life. So I thought it would be interesting to just kind of lay it out and see, all the ways I'm using my phone, because I think it will be really interesting to see how I'm using my phone in 10 years and what it's like in 10 years. So right here are really the only 2 photos that I took. I think that there was one more that I just opted not to include. These ones are all very outdoor and weather-based. This one because it was a pretty rainy week, and then this one, there was frost on a Sunday. So I actually decided to include them just for a change, just for a variety. And then here is all the screenshots. So what I ended up doing on Saturday when I realized it is I just started taking screenshots of everything. So like, for instance, this one was one of my stories and it was still available. You know how your stories only last for 24 hours. There were a couple other stories I wish I had captured, but it was past 24 hours. And then I grabbed a couple posts that really stuck out to me. I was screenshotting some text messages. That's a photo that my daughter sent me. I was screenshotting the podcast that I was listening to, my calendar, Marco Polo. I was researching, I don't know if you can see that, I was researching the word resilient. That's a word that keeps coming up in my mind. I don't believe that it's a word that I would use for one little word, but it's something that I'm really wanting right now, is to be more resilient. So I'm not sure if this is going to stay in this week, but just something that I've been thinking about. I've got some emails, some more text messages, podcasts, my screen, those kinds of things. So I just started grabbing stuff that I had done throughout the week. Now, if I had planned this ahead of time, I think I would have been able to even get more stuff, right? So because I was doing this and I was like, I can just fill these up with the photos, but I did want to grab a kit. So I knew that Allie had done a tech kit. So this is her tech story kit. And looks like I used this for something because these are all cut up, but I can't remember. It must have been one of the projects that I did for Allie. So I'm hoping that there is going to be enough cards, but I think that these will be really awesome to use because I did not use these. So they're just little acrylic words. And I don't know. See, maybe I could use that. I was going to say that could have been cool, but it doesn't fit in the 3x4 pockets. So I'm just going to get started going through this kit and cutting up my cards, and we'll see how it goes. All right, you guys. So first thing I'm going to do is go through the cards, and I know that I want one for the title card. So I'm looking for a 4x6, and then I'm going to look for, I want about 3 of the other cards, and I'm doing this mostly to kind of break up all of the photos from my phone because a lot of them are white and a lot of them look very similar. So I just kind of wanted to break it up. I was actually considering doing like a 4x6 card and putting a number onto each of the screenshots, that would say, number 1, this is my calendar. And number 2, I listen to the podcast, the daily. I don't listen to it every day, but maybe like 3-4 times a week. I try and catch up on it. I usually listen to most of the episodes. So, I was considering doing that, and I may do something like that and create, let's say, like a flip up with one of the photos, but I just wanted to get as much as the screenshots in as possible. And then I did leave a couple of cards for journaling. So one of the journaling said what I love about technology, and the other one said what I don't love about technology. So I just wrote a little bit about that in that section, and then the other section, it had a story, something about technology. I can't now remember the subtitle, but I felt like this actually told a really great story. And it's so funny because I want to say, oh, in 10 years, I'll remember. But you know what? I don't know if I will. So I'm thinking about maybe adding a flip up or something and having a little bit more context. So I'm not sure. Just something I was thinking about when I finally finished. So I am happy with everything that I included, except I omitted, let's see, it was a screenshot of a text message between me and the caterers. And I'm sad that I didn't include that because it's a really great story of what I was working on this week, which is catering. So I wish that were there. And in fact, there is a text message between me and my kids that is kind of hard to understand without some of the backstory because I couldn't get the whole text message onto the screenshot. So I think I might replace that one. So that might be the only one I replace. But other than that, I'm really happy with what I chose and what I decided to include with this week. So I think this is a really good idea and something I wish I had done every single year of my life since I got a phone in 2008, because just of how much it changes and how much this stuff has an impact on our lives. It's literally something I think about all the time. It's something I talk to my daughters about all the time, especially the ones that are older and on their own, because now they don't have, before when they're living in my house, it was like, okay, the phone had to be put up at a certain time. They weren't allowed to look at it. And that was up until the time they left my house. So now that they're on their own, they are able to make that choice for themselves. And I'm just crossing my fingers that they're, seeing what it feels like to have technology with them 24/7 and making better choices for themselves. So that's kind of what I'm hoping. Anyway, I just love this idea, and I definitely am going to do it, next year. Maybe this will be something I do in the fall. But I just really loved the story that each of these pieces told. Like this card that I'm looking at right now, this is another reason why I wanted to look into my usage in the phone, because that Instagram post was all about Colin Karchner, who unfortunately died this week very suddenly. And he was such an advocate for getting off your phone. And it was another thing that kind of pushed me to telling this kind of story this week. So anyway, just throwing it out there that this might be something that would interest you, is dedicating an entire week. Or if you are doing monthly, maybe just including some more screenshots in your monthly project life just to be able to tell that kind of story. I think this is what I love so much about doing weekly is you can do these kinds of spreads. You really are able to pack in a ton of information when it comes to weekly project life. So it's kind of nice to be able to dedicate a week here and there to something like this, where you're telling your stories through your social media, or maybe you're telling your stories by what you ate that week, or you're telling your stories just on the ephemera. That's something that I've really wanted to do and just have not done yet. So those are a couple of ideas of ways that you can tell your life story that doesn't just have to be from your photos. You can use other ways of doing it. So I don't know, just a couple ideas. All right, so I guess I haven't really been talking about what I've been doing at all, but I'm under the impression that you guys have followed around with me, so I'm sure that you are quite aware of my routine. So I was just throwing down the embellishments, and now what I'm doing is I'm taking the two 3x4 cards and adhering them together. I'm just using a bit of washi tape. I will let you know that if you're going to be doing this, I would definitely wait to adhere your embellishments because it's a lot easier to do if they're both flat on the table. You can see that I had to flip that one photo right side up because of that text chipboard. It just made it really hard to get it adhered on. So I do this because I've noticed that if you keep them separate, the 3x4 cards separate in a 4x6 pocket, they just end up moving around and falling out of the pocket. So I just went ahead and, and adhere and put them together with some washi tape. All right, now I'm just going to do my journaling. And like I had mentioned, this is all about what I love about technology, which is the connection, that it keeps me connected. And especially right now to my kids who I'm not living near and my friends and family. And it's really been helpful as I transitioned here. And then I just talked a little bit about what I don't like, which is this endless scrolling and just that feeling that I need it, which I don't. And I also talked about like it's the first thing that I go to when I wake up in the morning. And that's definitely something that I'm going to change ASAP. I've been thinking about that a lot lately and I just haven't done it, and I want to because the first thing that I want to do is not look at my phone. I want to look at something else that brings me joy. Maybe do some reading of my scriptures or something, meditation, something to a better way to start the day instead of just like putting in all this media in my head. Do you know what I mean? So that's a little bit about what those stories were about. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is my title card, and I'm adding on the dates with some embossing powder to kind of make it stand out a little bit more and be like crisp white. And as you can see, I'm getting like mid process, and that's because my husband needed me, so I turned off my camera, and when I came back I forgot to turn on my camera and I just started working. So I apologize that I noticed it when I was in the middle of it, but I am going to show you how I did it with my title card from the last Project Life video that I did. So this was using Allie's cozy kit, and I totally forgot to do the dates. So I ended up, and you know what, I wanted to emboss it, but I kept just not pulling out the stuff. But now that I did it for this week, I decided, oh yeah, I can show these guys what they missed and do the prior week. So basically what I did is I prepped the card with some anti-static powder just to make sure that I wasn't going to get powder sticking everywhere. And then I stamped the date using Versamark ink, which is sticky and allows that embossing powder to stick onto it. And then I just heat it up with my heat tool. One thing that I will warn you is my heat gun's pretty hot and it did warp the paper slightly. I think once it's in the pocket, it will be okay, but it did kind of warp a bit. The other card didn't warp as much, and I think I did a little bit better job. Just make sure when you're heating it up to kind of heat the back and the front. It kind of helps to distribute the heat. Anyway, you guys, that is it for this week. I really hope that this is something that you guys will give a try. I think if you do it ahead of time and you're working on it, you know, at the beginning of the week to the end of the week, I think you can get some really great stuff that kind of tells the story of what you are doing with your phone right now. So thank you again for being here, for your support of my channel. If you like what you saw, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps me to get people seeing this. And if you are new here, please consider subscribing so that you can get all my videos when they are published. All right, you guys, we will see you in the next video. Bye.